Orm presents The Doctor is Sin.
This is Gary Butterfield.
This is Cole Ross.
And this is my former favorite episode of the show.
I'm going to be curious to hear what knocked it down for you.
Just rewatching later episodes are really strong.
Oh, yeah.
Nothing knocked it down. I just, it is one, because of the breaks between seasons. I had just seen it a lot and really cemented that opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And now I'm a real Dr. Quim man.
Wow, okay. Yeah.
I like that pointless psychosexual misogyny fest. I love it.
Yeah, just a dark horse candidate for best episode, not just of this show, but of any show ever.
Any show. Yeah, you got Ozymandias, up there. And then you got the Dr. Quim medicine woman.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that actually clanged on me on revisit is the straight up unusual amounts of racism from Doc.
Yeah.
In this one, it's a little bit that hits a little different.
It does
this year,
Yeah. At a certain point, it indulges in it a little bit. I'm fine with that being a demonstration of why Doc is a terrible person, but it also. You just the dose makes the poison,
Yeah, just hits a little bit different.
Yeah,
that's all. Still extremely good. What an episode!
Agreed. What an episode, which was written by Jackson Public and originally aired on June 8th of 2008.
Yeah, this is an establishment episode. Doc doesn't have his arch enemy, but we are establishing Doc as a down on his luck super scientist who is on the outs, who needs money, and he sucks at this.
Yeah.
He's in a rough spot.
He is really bad. This is reestablishing for us after kind of a whole season that was dedicated more to the Monarch. We're going back to a little bit of that season 1 heat of Doc failing to live up to failing to fill his father's shoes, let's say. And kind of putting a different, better spin on it now that they have spent more time with his character and now that the world of the show has developed a little bit more.
Yeah. And it's having completed a rewatch of the series, I prefer that side of the coin, I think.
Yeah.
To the Monarch side of the coin. If I had to choose, I like the boys, I like Brock, I like Doc more than I like the Monarch. All that stuff's great.
Yeah.
We're comparing just really, people are like, oh, it's comparing apples and oranges. Hey man, you're lucky to get fruit at all. This is great.
Yep. Yeah.
Fruit just owns tons of vitamins in them shits.
Yeah.
Fiber. But I like this a little bit more than Shadow Man 9 because I care about these characters a little bit more.
Same. I think that Rusty as the main character of this and as kind of the walking thesis statement for the entire show. Every time, every second that you spend with him, generally, or all of the story that is dedicated to him, those are good calories, to stretch the fruit metaphor to its breaking point.
Yeah. And this is an episode too that doesn't necessarily tell us anything new about Doc, but it reveals it in a starker light, than we've had. And to me, that is valuable.
Yeah. Also, it's an episode, we knew this, but Doc as a narcissist or somebody with narcissistic tendencies, it seems, is not necessarily that self-reflective. He's ruminative, but he tends to blame everything on everybody else. There's a point in this where he gets to know what we know because it is spoken to him very plainly, and it breaks him. It turns him into a huddling, quivering mess that has to cling to Brock to stay upright.
It's very, it's kind of a sweet moment. I love vulnerable Doc. This episode actually makes a really nice companion piece with Spanakopita.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think. Which is not as vulnerable, but also is really good at humanizing Dr. Venture.
Yeah.
I think that hitting was one of the reasons why this was such a favorite for me.
Yeah.
We talked a little bit in the last episode about the shuffling around of episodes with Doc Hammer taking a long time to write Orb. That episode So at one point, some of the material in this was part of the premiere, and they shuffled everything around.
Yeah.
Public, when he talks about it, he says this is the premiere for the Ventures. The last episode was the premiere for, Monarch and Dr. Girlfriend.
Yeah.
This is a third appearance, but second episode feature of Dr. Henry Killinger. And he's incredibly memorable in this.
Yeah.
Doc Hammer didn't want to bring him back. He felt like the joke, had already been told. He referred to him as a Bud Manstrong. And if you say that to me in a bar or something, we're going to go out and throw hands. Like,
oh, you're going to get glass there, dude. Like,
yeah, you do not refer to Killinger as a Bud Manstrong.
No, how dare you?
Are you out of your fucking mind? You tiny little twig man. Like, you do not do that. Like, it's not okay. Killinger ends up having surprising legs. Knowing what we know about Killinger from like the later seasons, and watching this just really hits different as well.
They take him. I mean, they make him into part of the cosmos. Almost like in an X-Files kind of way. Where, you have these characters who seem like they're just part of the establishment. Oh, it seems like, he's part of the guild. Like, yeah, but it's more than that, actually.
Yeah. He's part of something entirely different.
Yeah.
He's
an
really,
outsider.
Really
yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
And like Dr. O senses this too. Like, it's not necessarily unheralded when we get to that as well. I think this episode has some very good Dr. Orpheus content in it as well. Yeah,
he's great.
Weirdly, and I cannot imagine Public or Doc Hammer signing off on this, but I read this on the wiki. The first 11 minutes of the first half of this episode was shown a week early to promote the new season, but it was a rough cut, so it didn't have music or sound effects. It was just the radio play.
Well, it was animated.
Yeah,
it wasn't just the radio play.
Well,
but it didn't have music or sound effects, and the animation was rough for it. It's super weird. I didn't see that when that came on. No. That'd be a really strange thing to watch now. And we get kind of an idea of what that rough animation might look like, because they talk about in the commentary and on the book, the animators sent this back animated in the style of anime, which is animated on the 3s instead of the 2s. In terms of frames.
Yeah, every third frame instead of every 2. Yeah.
Yeah, which gives it kind of, is probably, like, this was a weird thing that unlocked, like, I was like, oh, maybe that's part of why I don't like the look of anime, or I can just kind of, like, know it when I see it. Because it does feel a little bit off to me.
Yeah.
In how it's animated. And this might be something I'm picking up on.
It's a little bit like the soap opera effect, right? Like before that came to describe like weird, bad interpolation on high refresh rate screens. Like back when you were just watching stuff on VHS, when we were just watching stuff on CRT over cable, you could tell when you were watching something that was shot like 3 camera studio, but especially soap opera because it was shown in 60 frames per second. Like at the not 60, but like at the full NTSC refresh rate, as opposed to the what you see on film, which is 24 frames per second. Though that is fewer frames per second, which might short circuit your brain if you're a video game person. That actually becomes like a mark of quality. Think like, okay, yes, this is a serious thing because it is. I am subconsciously noticing. Yeah, I am subconsciously noticing that it is mimicking film, right?
It's the way that like The Hobbit looks worse than Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
Very explicitly in terms of that controversy. Again, I'm not saying it's not exactly the same, and I'm not saying that anime looks like The Hobbit. I'm saying there is a little difference that you pick up on kind of subconsciously.
Yeah.
And it was kind of neat to see what it was. And obviously totally wrong for the Venture Brothers, which is a pastiche of 60s adventure.
Extremely Western things. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's a horrible look for the Venture Brothers. This required a lot of extensive revisions.
Yeah.
So that seems like that would be a lot of work, and they didn't get every scene.
Right.
If you want to see what we're talking about, if you watch this along with a commentary, they'll be like, oh yeah, that scene we didn't catch. And you can kind of see it does look a little bit off.
Yeah. Like they just point out like, yeah, like that particular shot right there, that one we had to, massage it to make it look right. All that kind of stuff. The commentary on this one actually is pretty useful, which is
surprising.
Yeah.
Season 3, baby.
Season 3 on point. Yeah.
Yep.
Also in the commentary, that's where you get the uncensored visuals, so you don't get the black broadcast bars over the dongs.
Mm-hmm. You get to see some dong.
Yeah.
Finally dong. Like if you were looking to see dong hanging in the Venture Brothers, and you get to see it, you get to hear them talk about it in the commentary. And if you read the Go Team Venture book, you get to read like a soapbox like Doc Hammer goes to Washington speech about like why he should be able to have penises everywhere.
Yeah.
And draw it. I just really imagine like the Battle Hymn of the Republic playing after him, like while he's writing it.
I think he says like, what do they think happens when somebody sees a penis? Do they stop believing in God?
Yeah, they start masturbating and believing in God. It's 2 lines, all this stuff. And you know, we talked about this before. I would never like fight somebody who said I was prudish because I have a prudish air to me in terms of media. But I think a black bar is funnier.
I mean, I also think
the same way I like bleeps.
beeping is funnier. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. Like it is funnier to have somebody walk out with a black bar than to have their dong hanging out.
I mean, it's the Ned Flanders shower joke where they just the blurring goes all the way down past his knee.
Like, it'd be so unreal. Like, God, that would make me uncomfortable.
Hi, diddly ho, neighbor.
When they showed Bart's dick in the movie.
Yeah. Hey, Flanders, I'm going to need you never to say diddly again to me, please.
Like, it just hits different when you know about your fucking horse cock, dude. Yeah. Like Equisapien Ned Flanders fucking rocking the 12-incher. I can't handle it.
Yeah.
And then we get to see like Bart's fucking penis.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's not funnier. It's funnier to do almost anything but.
Yep.
You know, you can do a comedy dick. I love in what is that, Popstar? Like very funny where the guy rubs his dick up against the window in the background where Andy Samberg can't see it.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you can do comedy dick and you can certainly do horror dick.
Oh yeah.
Old naked person. Like, get me out of there.
Right. Yeah. Hereditary or in video games, like that works really well in Outlast and in Penumbra. Yeah, there you go. Thank you.
Yeah. But it just I don't think that it has a place in the Venture Brothers. I'd prefer not.
Yeah. It's just it's funnier. And you know, see also the way that they handled the black bar in the hotel scene in Borat. Right, where like it is lovingly animated to swing as he runs.
It is significantly funnier than seeing that dude's dick.
Yeah.
And then when they in Borat 2, when they make that guy into a chair that has a dick and balls on it, they show it.
They keep it strong.
And there's the payoff. Like, you know, like show. You know, you just got to be judicious with this stuff. It's not an all or nothing thing, Doc.
Dose makes the poison.
So the kind of standout scene of this where it has the dick, which is the one thing that like in watching this where it's not my favorite episode, but also I think that is one of the best sequences, like top 5 sequence in the show. Originally, this had a whole bit where Rusty's nightmare was him remembering that his dad slept with his first crush. His dad was shooting a movie called like The Invisible Bikini.
Or something like that. Follow that bikini.
Yeah, follow that bikini. And he, you know, that his dad fucking his crush was what disturbed him instead of the much more probably universal senior dad's dong.
Yes.
Moment.
Yeah. So I'm glad that they cut all of that because it was even difficult to like summarize in text here.
Yeah. Like in the commentary, Doc Hammer's like, I can't follow you now. Like while you're explaining this, and what they have is a lot more simple and elegant.
Yeah. Yeah. There was another ending for this planned as well. That was going to set up Dr. Venture's new arch. Sergeant Hatred was going to get his letter from the guild assigning him to Arch Rusty, to Arch Dr. Venture. So I like the one that we get, although it is a gag that they admit had kind of just been sitting around on the back shelf for a while.
It's a little, it's a little stock.
Yeah.
You know, it also felt a little bit like, oh, we got to throw some Monarch stuff in here, just a touch.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, to me. But it is a funny joke.
Yep.
If you hate snakes, which I do, like, it's a funny joke. And it also makes a good point about how awful snakes are.
A lot of stuff reduced to dust.
Crumble to dust. Yeah. Like Super Metroid. The last level.
Yeah.
So we start off with like the racist cold open.
Yep.
with a truck dropping off some migrant workers on the side of the road, and Doc Venture pulling up in his hover car, flying saucer hover car, and offering them 50 smackers for a lost day's work. And the joke being he lists off all kinds of super science shit.
Yeah, looking for like polonium purification experts and stuff like that.
Yeah. And there's a later kind of callback to this.
Yes.
When he eventually decides, because he doesn't have any polonium experts, flies off, and we get the introduction to the J-Pod, the precursor to the J-Phone, which shows up later with JJ in silhouette dancing with an iPod.
I forgot how early they laid this, because that is so important for the end of the series. Like the divergent paths that they took as super scientists, consumer versus military, right?
Yeah. And just the idea that JJ doesn't play the game.
Right.
Is set up here, and that ends up becoming really important later on with your Lepidopterist and stuff, and then all that in Gargantua too.
Yes. Yeah. So we get our opening sequence, the first of the new opening sequence for 3, the actual one, not the Monarch one. We open up, love this scene. Brock is using a rake to get the charred corpse of Manosaurus down from the electric fence.
One of Manosaurus's henchmen.
Okay.
Down from the thing. It looks like one of Manosaurus's.
Oh, yeah.
So Manosaurus still lives, fortunately, even though I don't think we see him.
Right.
But this has been happening. Like, this is, in the commentary, they talk about an A and a B plot in this as if Doc not having an arch is any kind of plot in this at all.
Right.
In terms of the actual episode, it's just a Killinger makeover episode, really.
Yeah.
It's pretty unifocused. And they kind of bemoan like, oh, we could have done an episode about all these just morons showing up. If you look in the book, in the sketchbook, that's the first appearance of Brick Frog. Shows up in there as well. So that was, in a different world and a different draft of this, maybe we would have had Brick Frog.
I like it as a nuisance that is just constantly happening at the edges and foiling, and breaking apart Rusty's plans. Like when one guy shows up in the middle of
I love it. I wouldn't call it a plot.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I say that I like that I like that more than I think I would like a whole episode dedicated to that. It's a funny recurring gag over the course of another plot.
Yep. Inside, Rusty is incredibly his narcissism. Like, enough about you. I didn't even call to ask about that. It was just a rhetorical question. Actually.
Yeah.
Talking about how he has a certain meeting with a certain General Man-Hours coming up. And JJ, we're showing JJ in the background. He's hired Hector and Swifty. Sally, Ned are moving in. And he's just basically like, oh, we'll tell him his helicopters will be ready a week early. Weirdly enough, presaging the fact that the penultimate villain of Resident Evil Village got that voice as well. Very surprisingly. Heisenberg basically talks like JJ Jr.
Basically talks like JJ Jr. Yeah, no, Heisenberg looks a little bit like a Nick Cage and sounds like a cross between JJ Jr. and Jeffrey Combs.
And JJ Sr. It's very strange. It's like, oh, you're going to do it, Ethan. And he's basically just no sale on Rusty's attempt to brag.
Yeah, just like, you're bragging about this. I've been working with him for years. Tell him I said hi. Also, be my messenger boy for this.
It's just very, very pathetic.
Yeah,
he says he's lifting his self-imposed media blackout. Some real Volcel energy. With that.
That's so good. Oh man. Just say next time you pose him one of those science rags, you better move over, as he throws one of those away. And JJ gets a beep, and while he's attempting to pop over and see who it is, he brings is that the name of the sidekick from Johnny Quest?
So it's in here, it's Haji, or it's Raji. It's Haji in Johnny Quest.
Yeah.
It's Raji in this one.
Yeah, but I mean, it's Haji. He is hired he has hired this guy. He's like out at a lab, and he's calling for like a check-in on something, and we see Action Johnny Quest in the background scratching himself and screaming. Haji can't take him home, can't take him back to the house because his
My
wife will leave him.
me. It's so good. He's like a brother to me. Like, it's just him scratching and screaming in this telemarketing center.
God, I love Action Johnny's mustache. It's so good.
Yeah, Action Johnny is really good. I mean, again, like this is the second time we're recording since I did my rewatch and stuff, and we're gonna get to self-help, the one with the therapy, and that's a fucking all-star episode of this show. He's like, I can't come out. He's like a brother to me, and JJ's like, brother. Oh shit, I have Rusty on the other line. And Raji's like, Rusty, has he asked you for money yet? It's really funny, just like very sad.
Yeah, like he either has this reputation or they have talked about this before, and we find out later that yes, indeed, Rusty has taken loans from JJ. Just sad state of affairs.
Rusty's not there though, because General Man-Hours has shown up early. And we get the kind of first hint of this very cute little set piece in the beginning of this, where Brock starts coordinating everybody, like, go places. He's early, Doc. Because they're putting on this little stage show.
Yeah, it's like a state visit to North Korea.
It's so good. All of this is beautiful.
I love Triana's outfit and that she completed it with the blue lipstick and her little Pan Am headband.
Yeah. Just having fun, as the receptionist, and Rusty makes his appearance talking to Dr. Orpheus, who's dressed up like a European art dealer or something like that. But he's supposed to be from the European Space Agency. And like, this is great, where he's like, Signora Ventura, guten Tag, just hello. Just incredible.
Completely oblivious. Just say it in European and leave.
It's very, very funny.
And as Orpheus runs out the door, or goes out the front door, he starts running and taking off his clothes outside.
To be a different costume, like Dr. O is such a sport. Like, everybody is such a sport. It's so sweet.
But I also love that Rusty doesn't have enough friends to cast this little play that he's putting on.
It's all the people he knows, of which two of them are his son. The other one are like tenants, and the other one's his employee.
And I like the idea that he didn't even think to ask Pete and Billy.
Yeah, no, it's kind of hard to tell how far away Pete and Billy live. I know it's close, but like I was just So Dean's time to shine. He shows up on his hover boots. He's like, "Hey, Pop." Oh, that's where my experimental hover boots, went. Well, I can't help it. They have 1 million applications at home, at work, or on the battlefield.
And in combat situations. Just a really stilted delivery as Rusty and Man-Hours are riding on the people mover on the conveyor belt.
Why walk? Yeah. They have those at airports. Like, it is very funny that he's showing off all this, like, 70s tech.
Yeah. Most people who live in America have seen one of those. Yeah. So Dr. O, he had to go change so that he could pass, so they could pass headed the other way, dressed as a maintenance worker, which doesn't really sell anything.
It's a bit part.
Yeah.
He's like runs into the dressing room, just like, what's next? And Brock is saying there, putting on his makeup. His future man. Wigs over here, makeup's over there. And I love, again, how serious Dr. O is taking it. Yeah. And the line!
But you have Brock putting on his brown face makeup, which we're going to see later. And we have Hank, like, wearing some kind of gun suit and practicing his line, his only line, which he wants to make sure that he gets right. Hey, Pop! Hey, Pop!
Yeah.
Hey, Pop!
Hey, Pop! Yeah. It's a gun, like, codpiece.
On him, it seems to go through his chest. When Al wears it, it's a crotch gun.
This is apparently referencing something from Dusk Till Dawn.
Yes, Savini's character wore that. Yeah.
Which I forgot about because I haven't seen that movie since like I was a 90s teen, since it came out. But He's doing it there. Triana is going to be future girl. And Dr. Venture wrote a script which has a kiss in it of, future man showing up saying Doc has to save the future, and then saving the girl, which is his teenage daughter.
Yep. And Dean's right there, and he's wincing, which is a nice little, that would be a nice parallel if they kept the plot about Rusty's initial trauma, being that his dad slept with his crush. Yeah.
Yeah. They go through the hangar where they're painting the X-1 black. Mm-hmm. And it's like a little stealth bomber he's working on, but he hasn't finished it, so we won't let him take a look at it. Mm-hmm. And they get to the Rocket Research Observation Post, or ROP. Rock. And the door on the people mover doesn't open in time, so he gets slammed into it. Kind of rolled against the conveyor belt.
I was watching this on Hulu on my computer, and I was trying desperately to take to take video of that. The loop of him just pathetically and limply being rolled against the door by the people mover is so funny.
It's really good.
But apparently Hulu doesn't let you take screenshots or screen captures. All it came back as was a black square. So screw you, copy protection. I could have had a very good repeating GIF.
Yeah. The Disney Plus does on my phone. I keep trying to do that with Simpsons things. Mm-hmm. And it's fine, I'll fucking go to Frinkiac. What have you accomplished with this, you piece of shit?
Yep.
The big thing here, though, is this is obvious. We've never seen this room before.
Right.
And it is covered in dust. Rusty says he gave the staff off. When Man Hours notices the dust, he goes, week off, Jewish holiday.
Yeah. So, we mentioned this last episode a little bit when we were talking about the new season, but they took kind of the break to further develop the Venture compound and to, give us these extra spaces. I love the idea that basically this thing is so big and used to be so bustling that they can just have all of these disused facilities and they can go to whichever of them they need to for the plot. And they end up doing, right? The underground,
the buddy system.
Yeah.
And what goes down must come up and everything. It's great. It's very versatile.
Yes.
Man Hours asks if this kind of thing happens often. There's one of the highlight lines of this where he's like, my arch enemy quits, and now every Tom, Dick, and Skeletor out to make a name for himself.
Well, we didn't talk about this because somebody...
Oh, shit. Yeah.
Because,
I just got ahead. The Sri Lankan Devil Bird first appearance.
Thank you. I did not... I could not find this guy's name. Yeah, the Sri Lankan Devil Bird shows up outside with his car. He just pulls up. It looks like a little Batmobile, and he's screaming come out and face me. And this is one of every Tom, Dick, and Skeletor coming to make a name for himself.
Sri Lankan Devil Bird's costume showing up way later.
Yeah.
And Shore Leave borrows it. So Brock, who's dressed up as this Indian bodyguard, from Annie, kind of runs up to beat the crap out of him.
Yeah.
Your man's very loyal out there. He's another client. He's like, he's a diplomat.
Why is he beating somebody up for you? Yeah.
This is the end of the tour. Man Hours called. He's like, okay, well, shall we go inside and talk business? He goes, I've seen enough. It's impressive, but it's the same stuff that I saw 20 years ago when your dad had it, and it worked then. Mm-hmm. Which again, just very sad line.
Yeah.
It's very representative of Dr. Venture.
Yeah. There's nothing new here, and it's actually worse. You've done nothing, nothing of your own, and you've even let your father's legacy down. Cool, bud. For a couple of scenes, Man Hours has not had one of his shoes. And it's explained here, Rusty's like, hey, if this is about your shoe, if you're angry because of this, just wait 20 minutes and it'll come back around.
As 20 minutes.
As the people mover makes its circuit.
That is so good.
Yeah.
He leaves without his shoe, and I love it. Thanks for showing me around, Dr. Venture. And thank you for the Fruitopia. I can't remember the last time I had one of those.
Thanks for that 10-year-old fruit drink.
Yeah, at this man, Fruitopia. Those are big times. It was like we were living in a fruit juice utopia when Fruitopia was about.
Yeah. And Rusty's trying to make a desperate last minute pitch, basically screaming at him about this idea that he got out of the back of a kid's comic book, special spy shoes where you can turn the heel around so you can confuse the Russians.
Yeah, his pen that writes in space, it writes in space. I kind of wish we got to see the entire play because there's a lot more than Future Man. Like Dean comes out in a robot costume, and Hank is chasing him. And he does the basically, we're not really gonna have to sell the compound, are we, Dad, Pop? I don't know. Like we're gonna have to sell the farm. But then Dr. Killinger descends on his umbrella. He's Dr. Henry Killinger, and this is my resume. Freelance consultant hires him, and he works pro bono. So of course, Doc is down with it.
Yeah. So he says, "Hey, when can you start?" Killinger says, "I have already started." And now it is Killinger leading Rusty around. So in the intervening time, headed back to the Rock to the command center. Killinger is saying, "Oh, you need to increase your productivity and workflow," which is a very polite way of saying if you want to make money, you actually have to make things and sell them.
Do something.
Yeah,
do something.
And he opens the door and shows that the command center, once dusty and disused, is now full of a bunch of uniformed goons. His just like people that he hired, and Killinger is very happy that he decided to call them the Venchmen.
Yes, secret ingredient of Dr. Henry Killinger is that he's adorable.
Oh yeah,
and this has always been true of him. This isn't new, but he is so fucking cute. In this, this is one of the cutest things the show has ever done.
Yeah.
Doc is racist, and he's like, I can't pay for these people. They don't look Mexican. And he says, no, like the state pays them. They're on a work release program from prison. And he said, well, this is going to get me in trouble with the Super Science Workers Union. And he says he'll handle that.
Yeah. So he's working with a bunch of scabs. Shame on him. And Hank and Dean, they're looking at the window and they're alarmed. Pop, the manufacturing wing is on fire. In their entire lives, they've never actually seen the manufacturing wing operational. And neither has Brock.
Yeah. So I'll take care of this. But no, it's just an operation.
Yeah.
Dean is like, oh, you're some kind of magic man. He goes, no, you are the magic man. And pulls a quarter out from behind his ear. Just Johnny on the spot with the Uncle Magic trick.
Yep.
And then of course, because he's Dr. Henry Killinger, suggests that he puts it in a high yield mutual fund,
which is some of the best financial advice you can get. I mean, that would have been accurate back in the day. Now index funds are pretty good, but yeah.
It's a fucking quarter, Cole.
I know. Every little bit helps.
Stop being you for a second.
I will never stop being me.
I'll never log off. Like he's got to go buy some gum or something. He's a fucking kid. What's wrong with you?
Oh, he's Dean. He's
like, are you the worst uncle in the world? Like how do you treat your niece? Like you're just like, oh, let's get into safety drills for a little bit.
Dean's like 22, dude.
I don't know. He also likes being a boy adventurer with the Venture Home News and stuff. I don't think he should put that quarter in a high yield mutual fund.
Yeah. My point. You're not going to talk me out of this. My point stands.
It's a point put in the mouth of a comedy character in a show.
Yeah.
As a joke about his characterization, and you're like, that's me. You're not even like, I'm in this picture, I don't like it. You're like, I'm in this picture and it owns.
Can I get it blown up?
Stuff.
Can I get some glossy 8x10s to sign and send to my enemies?
just incredible stuff going on in this episode of The Vorb.
Yeah.
So there's a really great little reference here where he goes into the Super Science Union heads. And they have a list of demands to venture, and he opens his bag and dehydrates them. This is a reference to the 60s Batman movie. If you've never seen this, the Joker goes into the UN in New York, turns the leaders of all of these countries into dust, which Batman then later rehydrates, but they got mixed up, so they all speak each other's languages. That show is fucking wild.
That's crazy. The ontology of that, the thing about you that defines what language you know is like what particles you're made of somewhere in your body.
Yeah, you can be dehydrated. One of your essential salts is your language salt.
Oh,
and if somebody else gets it, that's how you have their language.
Huh.
It's amazing.
Huh. Yeah, the only thing I know about the Batman 60s movie is the shark repellent scene.
Yeah,
where he
when
has the
bomb
spray.
gif.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah. It's pretty wild. Like the 60s Batman show is funny because it's most times it's the most boring thing you've ever seen in your fucking life.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like you're watching it and you're just like, Jesus Christ, like do something.
Yeah.
And then the Joker will turn all the heads of the UN into dust and you're like, okay, this is the shit. You know, this is what I want.
Here's the diamond. Yeah.
The other part is those dudes were all drowning in fucking pussy. I read the Adam West or the Burt Ward autobiography.
Okay.
And it just seems like like it was basically like Jonas Sr.
I'm sure.
In terms
Dude, it
of
was the
scene.
It was the 60s. You didn't have anything to be afraid of. Like,
yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
If I was Cesar Romero, I wouldn't have been doing anything else.
No, I guess that's true. I would have been combing it out of my weird fucking hair.
Yeah.
If I was Burgess Meredith, I would have been fucking fin deep in penguin puss. Like,
yeah,
no joke.
Mm-hmm.
So,
oh boy. Anyway. Yeah, I didn't realize this was a reference to something. So he goes and he desiccates the union heads, and he's also been working a little bit through the mail. We cut over to Conjectural Technologies. Billy opens up a letter. It's a notice of hostile takeover. Like, we're not even a publicly traded company. And Pete says, "Oh, I issued some shares so we could buy the Wii."
We had to get the Nintendo Wii when we needed to get the Nintendo Wii.
And it wasn't just like it wasn't just like an offhand thing. He didn't just put it on a napkin or whatever. He actually had like bonds made up where he is where Billy is a griffin and Pete is a centaur.
Yeah, really. Why are you a Pegasus? Centaur. Like, well, partners, ain't we? Just incredible stuff.
Yeah.
Dr. O is being evicted.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's not in arrears, but the company is going back to arachnid research.
Mm-hmm.
So the apartment is being rezoned.
Yeah.
He realizes Dr. Killinger is evil, tries to, read his mind, and he cannot do it.
No.
Dr. Killinger says, your powers are useless on me, you silly Billy, and gives him a nosebleed, and he collapses on the floor.
Yeah, and he's out for an alarming amount of time. Yeah. So the Venchmen are packing everything up. All of Orpheus and Triana's things. The alchemist is here, and he's going to take them in, even though he only has one bed. It's made of horsehair.
One bed, it's made of horsehair, but if you're not allergic, you can split it with me, even though I know sleeping with that guy is like a 10-speed bike.
Yeah.
I like sleeping with a 10-speed bike, which is great.
Yep.
A great line. Very, very, very sad. But also L, again, super stand-up dude.
Oh, yeah. Still, your buddy needs you. You help him, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we go back to the lab, and now we need to work. Killinger needs to get to work on the emotional side of things. We have repaired your business structure, but now we must get to work on repairing your soul. He has ordered, he has asked Rusty to stand inside the magic murder bag.
Star Wars reference, which they said they would reduce, what's in it, only what you take with you. They did this exact same joke in season 6.
Yep.
With going into the Morpho cave. I was like, man, you guys. When he gets in the bag, he's having a flashback. He's like, oh, this is my old kitchen. I remember that wallpaper. He's getting cereal, and he's a kid again. He looks in the bowl, the alphabet spell it remember, and now he is a kid.
Alphabets, please. It's Alpha Dog cereal. Though
he
likes Apple Mummy better.
Alpha Dog. Jonas walks in, and you just get to see, we've seen Jonas Sr. being an abusive shit here, and this gets way worse as the show goes on. But this sucks. Rusty seems traumatized. Yeah. During this, I heard noises, and it's his dad just plowing all night.
Yeah. Daddy had a little sleepover. Just wearing his boxers, like he's going to the fridge to drink out of the OJ so he can get some electrolytes for round 2. And Rusty turns to look at his dad, talking about the cereal or whatever, and then he notices that his dad's perfectly average sized penis is hanging out of the flap of his boxers.
Yep. Very, very relatable. Like you're a kid, you see your dad's dong and you're like, that's the biggest thing I've ever fucking seen.
Yeah. What the hell?
You know? Yeah, that's, I didn't know they came like that. Like, it's incredible. Like I know enough to know that's important, but I don't know enough to know that it's not important.
Yeah. Like,
You know, like
I
I know little enough to know I should feel bad, but not enough to know that this is dumb.
as a kid, you are very hyper attuned to differences, especially between different people and like what they have and what you don't, kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, very much so. And this is, again, super relatable thing. And I love Rusty's performance here where he's like trying to concentrate on the cereal. Like I prefer Apple Mummy. King Nutraman is my favorite, but you don't get a prize. Like he just can't handle it. I'm pretty sure King Nutraman is a reference to King Vitamin.
Okay.
And King Vitamin is an incredible cereal in the early 2000s. Where the mascot for it, instead of like a Tony the Tiger or something, it was just an old man with a crown eating cereal, like not really smiling and not offering it to you. Just like, what if this old man was eating cereal with a crown on? And eventually they replaced him with a Cartoon King, and it sucked. But King Vitamin used to be just go to the cereal aisle and like literally get the Burnzos.
I'm looking at that. This is wild.
Yeah, King Vitamin.
Do they still still sell King Vitamin? I think they might.
You can still get King Vitamin, but only the cartoon version, not the old man version.
Yeah, you can get
the old man had to be called back to do reshoots on the Unforgiven video for Metallica, so they had to.
you can buy a box. You can buy an open box of the old man King Vitamin for $59 on eBay. It's used.
Open.
It's used.
Oh, love used cereal.
Oh man.
But,
yeah.
And then one of the moment, like there are moments in the show, like it's one of my favorite shows, and then there are all these moments that happen where it's like, oh, this is for me, and I keep getting knocked into different levels. It's like in the first season we had the Ghost of Saragossa where they're doing the beginning of ground control to Major Tom and stuff. Killinger says to face your fears, and when he looks over, the black bar that was his dad's dick turns into Killinger.
Yeah.
And this shunted me into a different level of loving the show.
Yeah.
I was just like, yep.
That the head of his dad's penis is Killinger's head. Like it looks black because it is, it's like he's wearing the little Killinger coat. Yeah. Yeah. It's the cowl sticking out, and it's talking to him saying, hey, Rusty, this is the first time that you have felt inadequate. This is where it began for you. This
the
idea
load dong.
Load.
Wink.
And then I love that the Killinger penis stretches out and wraps around Rusty, tying him up as he screams, "What are you going to do about it?"
I love it so much, and this transitions into him being in a rope, tied out around with a rope. Mummies are coming. He calls for his dad, and his dad comes on as a knight on a dinosaur. And
he's like, he's wearing Venture armor, and he's wielding a lance that looks like an intercontinental ballistic missile.
Like, there's so much symbolism in this shit. Like, this is one of the best things the show has ever done.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite dream sequences a show has ever done.
And there are tons of them,
Yeah. It's just so good.
Yeah.
And he's like, don't call on your father for help. Like, he's the one who tied you up. He commands these creatures of the dark. And we see the mummies, which all have Dr. Venture faces, but are labeled as like fear, self-loathing, stinking thinking, und dilly-dallying.
For yourself to destroy this temple of failure. I love stinking thinking because that is such like that is such like a 70s. I think that's like specifically like an AA and recovery term. Just the idea is like stinking thinking is like, oh, the way that you convince yourself that you will always be an addict or something like that. Right.
Just the top 10 types of stinking thinking on Psych Central, website. And it's all kinds of just like, self-loathing fallacies.
Yeah. Yeah.
jumping to a conclusion, like not giving yourself credit for the power, the positive things like that. But it is like, later he tries to program the boys with the secret. Like Dr. Killinger is very effective, but he is like a walking 70s, what color is your parachute?
Yep.
Or whatever. Like, really, really fucking good. I love it.
Und dilly dally.
Und dilly dallying. Like, that is like a sin. Just dilly dallying. Rusty screams and breaks the bond. And now he's outside as David holding a slingshot, looking up at the statue in their lawn, from the center of the compound. And it's his dad doing, fatherly advice, but being really menacing with it. Like, it's time to put you to bed, son. Really, really threatening him here.
Yeah. The Goliath will not stop crushing your soul until you slay him once and forever. Kill him, take your rightful place on the Venture throne, and become the golden boy / king godhead.
The boy king godhead. He jumps in the slingshot as the bullet and launches himself into Jonas's forehead. He says, it starts raining gumdrops, and he's like, the son has becomes the father. The floodgates of heaven have opened. Prosperity reigns upon you. I'm pretty sure this raining gumdrops thing is a reference to a commercial.
Okay.
But I could not find anything in looking it up on the wiki or anything, but I'm pretty sure that in the 90s, there is a commercial where this happened.
There was the Skittles commercials where it starts raining Skittles.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. Right before the, berries and cream fella showed up and God, I made a reference to the berries and cream guy on the stream, and nobody knew what the fuck I was talking about. Welcome to old, man.
Yeah,
welcome to old. I'm trying to stop you before you get to the put a quarter in a high yield mutual fund old, but stop you right at the remembers the berry and cream age. Like, enjoy this without moving forward, man. Stop and smell the roses before you turn to it. Like, you just desiccate like a mummy from the end of fucking Raiders.
Yeah, no, I've got mental progeria, dude. I've got Jack disease.
Did you see that? Like the geriatric millennial.
Yeah, I saw that. No, I saw that going around.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Just don't like this picture because I'm in it. But as he's doing this, he's eating the candy. And he's like, who is this little man stealing your legacy? Yeah, and it's JJ dressed up as a leprechaun. He starts choking.
Yeah. And cut to Rusty in the lounge. He is naked and having a seizure. Killinger has put his wallet in his mouth so he doesn't swallow his tongue.
Really, really good Doc narcissism here, because he's constantly accusing people of slipping him roofos and stuff. Like, when he looks at his body, he's literally like, everyone wants to scale Mount Rusty.
Yeah.
He asks why he's naked, and the reason why he's naked is because his old clothes will no longer fit him. He's been reborn.
Yes.
And gives him a new outfit. And
like the sing song, and I got you a present.
Yeah, but I got one that will. When he puts it on, I love that he's like, the outfit looks like the Super Friends Lex Luthor outfit. And I love when he's like, oh, I like it. And he's like, I am so much the proud papa.
I love my job.
I love my job. Like, very, very cute. Again, fucking adorable.
Yeah. So we spent a lot of time with Killinger and Rusty. Like, we need to see how this is affecting the other folks. It's undetermined like how much time has passed here. Like, it's long enough for Brock to get bored, because he goes to the alchemist place with a 6-pack to bring Dr. O and Al a housewarming gift, but also just to have something to do. He's bored. And Dr. O thinks, oh, that must mean you've killed this demonic Dr. Killinger. He's, don't you see that he is a problem?
Yeah. While this is happening, Triana is dyeing Al's hair.
Yep.
Which I think is adorable. Brock is bored, and he's like, no, he's, he got rid of all the people, but he's not, he's like, at first I was angry because he told me I had to pay back rent. And he gave me a bill for the last 2 years, but he explained how I could write it all off and get way more back from the government. So now I'm coming ahead. And they show this with him just sharing apple slices with him. It's so good.
Like sitting down, going over the forms. Yeah.
God, I love it so much. And he's like, and he's like, well, Dr. O is like, well, what about the boys? He's going to shake them like a nanny possessed.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, no, the boys love him and he loves them, and they just show him like Dr. or Killinger like goofing around with the boys.
It's Uncle Henry, playing hide and seek with them. He's in the bed with Dean,
and tutoring him.
Yeah, tutoring.
Great printouts.
I don't quite agree with what he's teaching Hank, and he has Hank like wielding a sword at a henchman who's tied up, saying he stole from your dad. Are you going to let that stand?
Yeah, he's stolen from your father. You must punish him. He's like, well, he's got a degree in child psychology, so what am I, gonna do? Orpheus says, we have to do this. Rusty has made a Faustian bargain. Our very souls are in danger, and Brock says, okay.
Yes.
So we cut back. There's a little bit more with the suit.
Mm-hmm.
With them putting on. I love the like. This one is for your diet pills. This one is for what have you.
Mm-hmm.
Very cute. What have you?
I also love the line. Rusty says, "Well, it's different." And Killinger says, Richard Nixon said the same thing when I gave him his first power tie.
I really wish power tie meant something different.
Yeah.
It's so fucking boring what that actually means. Like, I looked it up. I'm like, what's a power tie?
That's a red tie. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just like, get off me, world.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you have to stop using words you don't know how to use.
Yeah. Power. Understand what you mean. Yeah.
Irresponsible.
Yeah. But Killinger is overjoyed that Rusty likes his suspiciously villainous costume, right? While
literally Lex Luthor.
Yeah. Brock, Al, and Dr. O they slip over the fence of the compound and they're spotted by this new camera, installed since Brock had left. And Dr. O uses his magical cloak of concealment to hide them, but it apparently hurts. They just like stand behind him as he's like wincing and straining to keep it up.
So Brock goes in, he hears Dr. Killinger telling the boys the secret in their learning bed. The universe will manifest things for you, just need to grab it. He unplugs it, and Dr. O and Al are back in the dressing room putting on disguises because Killinger knows Dr. O's face.
Yes.
He's magic. Al says, what are we, chopped liver? He's like, well, he's more magic.
Yes.
And Al puts on the crotch gun. And Al keeps doing a lot of double entendres, which is very sweet. Like, I'm very excited about this plan, because it looks like a gigantic, erection.
Yeah. So we're back up in the command room, and Killinger has sliced open Rusty's palm to fill a chalice with blood. Kind of the first outright demonic thing that we've seen so far. I love Rusty's line here is like, just like, you need me to sign something. You've got enough blood here to print a Kiss comic book with. What the hell am I signing? A Zeppelin?
The Kiss comic thing. So Marvel Comics in the 70s sold a comic book about Kiss where they said that some of Kiss's blood was in the printing ink.
Yeah. So, people got up in arms about it, even though it was the dumbest thing possible. Cut to 40 years later when Lil Nas X sold some sneakers basically based on the same concept, and pretty much the same people got upset about a dumb thing too.
Yeah. Well, at least they're consistent.
Yeah.
They're single issue voters. They've been waiting 40 years for that to come around again. Why aren't people using blood in consumer products anymore? There's nothing to be mad about.
Oh man!
Did you ever see that? I can't remember his name. Did you ever see that modern artist who took like a pint of his blood a week for a year and then casted a mold of his own head in his frozen blood?
No, I've never seen that. That sounds awesome though. It's
great. Like, it's just a really, really creepy, and it's also like, I love it as a piece of art too, because like that's kind of you. Mm-hmm. You did kind of just make, that's you. That's all your blood. That's all came from your body, and it looks just like you, but it ain't you.
Yeah.
It's just like very, very cool.
Blood is symbolic of so many different things about a person, from where they came from to literally defining what they are, and it's their life. And here it is taken and put into a form, but it is dead. It is other. Yeah. Yeah.
It is a dead form that still bears a resemblance to you.
That rules. Yeah.
Yeah. Modern art is great.
Yeah.
Conservatives can fucking sit on attack. Like,
yep.
Experimental weird modern art is good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Take that, PragerU.
Modernity is ruining everything should be statues of naked Greek men.
Look at columns. dumb people. So Killinger, he's taking this blood to have Rusty sign up for this elite brotherhood with exclusive arching rights. And this doesn't add up, right? Because Rusty didn't need to do anything to get an arch before. It just kind of happened. The brotherhood that Killinger's signing him up for is the Guild. His arch is going to be JJ. He's like, think about it, right? It's a classic Cain and Abel story. Like you being his villain makes perfect sense. You are a supervillain. This is, but I'm not aren't you? Just that incisive, laser guided question. Yeah, everything about you points to this being the logical conclusion. Your horrible childhood, the circumstances of your life, the failure, like quite literally a lot of the decisions you've made. The
racism, trying to eliminate the gay gene. All of these supervillain things you've done, man. And he's just trying to push him into it. Sign it. Act now, Benjamin, standing by for your order.
It's so good.
And we show him, it looks like he's signing the contract. When the others break into the room, they can't break in at first because, nothing works in this place. Like the crotch gun doesn't fire. It's a prop. They can't get the card reader to work. But Brock ends up kicking the door down. We see Killinger and he says, Benjamin. And it looks like there's going to be a big fight. But they just say, excuse me, and walk out.
And just gently file out. Like it's the end of the
and
meeting.
They take Doc's clothes. With them. Just like a clothing wipe.
And Rusty is standing there in the middle of this now empty command center, naked and shivering. And the first thing that he asks, like, Brock, this is like a defining moment for the show. But he says, Brock,
absolutely.
am I a bad person? And all Brock has to say is like he does like a like an equivocating hand gesture and goes,
Like, in my memory, that was the end of the episode.
Yes.
That was the smash to credits, which I think would be really strong.
Yes.
If they did that, because like the post-credit scene of this is a non sequitur kind of off-the-shelf joke. And the actual setup for what I think that would have been a really strong way to end it. And then just do the other stuff, like the man hours and Killinger in the sky would have been a good end credits thing as well.
Yes.
Yeah. But he can't bring himself to say no.
Yeah. Like he has to be honest with Doc. And, that kind of brings a little bit like, you're only like the quote unquote good guy. You're not a villain because of what you were born into. You were on you're just kind of on the side that you're on by default. Right.
Yeah.
Well,
you were born in this. You're a legacy.
Yeah.
You're like a legacy hero.
Yeah.
And Brock and Doc's relationship is something I really like in this show. Like, Brock is above this whole good guy, bad guy thing. Like he likes what he's doing. Like Brock likes Doc, later in the season, one of the season standouts for me is Now Museum, Now You Don't.
Yeah.
At the end where like Doc is like, we have to go back for him. He's family. And then Brock's like, get the fuck out of here. He's just like laugh. Like he's joking with them because they know what crapulence he engages with. Which is very sweet. The fake out here is it turns out that Rusty was signing his severance.
Yes.
Not signing the guild thing. The boys show up. They're like, oh, Uncle Henry's gone. He's supposed to take me rock climbing tomorrow.
And
Al.
God, yeah. Uncle Al. Like, oh, I'll take you, Aqualad.
I'll take you, Aqualad.
Because he's in his pajamas.
God, I need Al in my life. Like, I need a platonic Al.
Yeah. Such a good person. Yeah.
Why don't I have more friends like that? I need to become friends with that guy who does Master Shake's voice.
Dana Snyder, come on.
Dana Snyder, be my friend. Take me rock climbing. I don't want to rock climb, but I want you to take me rock climbing. It's known as Gary's Paradox.
Oh man. And he's devastated. This is the moment that I alluded to before, where Rusty is like clinging to Brock to hold himself upright because he's been undone. He's been kind of shown objectively what he is made of, and he really doesn't like it. This goes beyond vulnerable. This goes beyond just the regular self-loathing that he has had. He's
just like naked, stripped down to the bone. Killinger flies away, like Mary Poppins, and he's doing, All the World's a Stage monologue there. And turns out he's a big face in the stars like Mustafa here. And he's talking about all the world's a stage. And then Man Hours appears next to him and goes, you can read more about it in the Bible.
I don't like that ending. I don't get it. I don't think that it's very funny.
It's just a non sequitur.
Yeah.
Like I said, it would have worked to me as a post credits thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it doesn't work to me in the body of the episode. There's no reason for it to happen.
Yeah.
So kind of a sour note after, again, this transcendent note.
Yes. We get the post credits. Rusty is in his lab going through his overdue mail, all of his bills, final notice, third notice. Some guys are coming. No, that was a Simpsons. But then he opens a box and it's from the Monarch, and there's a note that says, "Die, Dr. Venture." There's a cobra inside. Yeah, but it's dead. It's been in there so long that it crumbles to dust when he picks it up.
Yeah. And this is old mail.
Yeah, 5 years old at this point. I really got to get my shit together.
Yep. And that's the end of the episode.
Yeah.
Really good.
Yeah.
Great episode. I would have liked this so much more as the season premiere.
Yep. Same.
It's a little they talk about it as being a back to basics. Let's just show Doc doing Doc stuff. I'm here for Doc doing Doc stuff.
Yeah.
I love Doc doing Doc stuff.
Well, it's an evolution. It's setting kind of a new, yes, it is the same thing, but it is putting a different spin on it. They're going deeper into the character. And in a weird way, this does still follow kind of the theme of this season, which is kind of expanding the history, getting a better sense of the deeper trauma, not just that we know that he went through, because there's, actual proof in the cartoons and stuff. Oh yeah, his dad dragged him to all these places, but seeing the trauma through his eyes and the way he conceptualizes himself and where he came from, right? We're getting a sense of Rusty's felt past in this.
Yes. Felt past is a good way to put it.
Yeah.
We knew this intellectually, but it ends up being a thing that not only with the ending part humanizes Rusty, but by showing kind of both sides of the scales. Showing the thing that the cause after seeing the effect for a couple seasons, really just makes you it doesn't excuse Rusty. Rusty's a horrible person.
Yeah.
But it does make you understand him a little bit. And there's a lot philosophically when people talk about, don't make an excuse, don't try to explain away your things, just, take ownership. And it's an explanation is good though.
Yeah.
Having understanding about this, both for yourself and understanding others where they got there. Yes, it doesn't mean that you have to forgive them or accept any bullshit, but it's not a bad thing to have more understanding.
No, giving a name to something lets you, define its boundaries to see what it stretches and what it touches, right? And explanations, give names and, apply mechanic and metaphor and story, to the ways that we are and why we are in those ways, right? Explanation is super valuable. And, to say don't explain it away, when you're talking about a regular person, don't engage with this. I think that is rooted in a fear that the more this bad person talks or the more you think about them, the more quickly you're going to find an excuse to let them off the hook,
Yeah.
You're giving them a chance to filibuster you. Yeah.
They are doing that, but that's not necessarily, one of the things I like about this show is that the characters in it in some ways are very authentic.
Yeah.
They're taken seriously and they're very authentic. Doc lies a lot, but he lies to himself more than anything. He believes all of the dumbass shit that we from the outside see as, obviously pathologic behavior.
Yes.
But he comes by it honest. He believes it. He's a profoundly damaged person. All that stuff just it really works for me. That kind of threading that needle is something I think that good characterization does, and it's kind of rare.
Yes. So. I mean, especially in cartoons, made for
cartoons on Adult Swim.
Yeah.
The home of the 12-ounce mouse.
Yeah.
Now
we're going to get the 12-ounce mouse people writing and saying, actually, season 2, it gets real.
12-ounce mouse community. Actually, it's very deep in season 3.
No, you're just subtweeting Will at this point, I think.
I don't know if Will is into the 12-ounce mouse. I don't know anything about it, but it's, if I have to use a comedy Adult Swim thing, it's either that or the Squidbillies, the Squidwilliams.
Assy McGee. Yeah.
Oh man, Assy McGee. Which may be fine. I haven't actually seen it because it's after my time, but it didn't look good because it's about a cop that's an ass.
Yeah.
Anywho, thanks everybody for listening to this. We'll be back in a week. And if you like the show, you can get episodes a week early by going to patreon.com/Duckfeed.tv. You can also leave us ratings reviews on Apple Podcast or Podcast Addict.
It's greatly appreciated when and if you do that.
Yeah, and tell your friends.
Please do.
You got Venture Buddies?
Yeah, if you got Venture
movie
Buddies.
announced.
Oh, shit, you're right. This is the first time we talked about it. We've recorded since then. The one time we get ahead, there's actual news, and we don't talk about this for a week. Yeah, no, along with a bunch of other Adult Swim announcements, we're going to be getting a Venture Brothers movie on HBO Max, I believe.
I'm extremely excited.
Oh, I mean, just wonderful. We knew this was a possibility, right? Right when we started the show was when it was announced that the season was canceled or the series was canceled. And we figured this is the most likely thing, and it is. And by following, James Urbaniak is excited about it. Everybody involved is fuck yeah, let's do this. So
I'm very at peace with the idea of this as opposed to the series continuing.
Yeah.
Because the series continuing as a series of episodes, there's always going to be a chance that it just petered out. This way we get the definitive creator's take.
Yeah.
This is how the stories end.
Yeah.
And story, you almost have to end to have a good story.
Yeah.
I say that as somebody from the world of comics, the best stories have endings.
Yes.
So.
Yeah.
Great news.
Yeah. Extremely great news. I mean, when you look at the late series, the look at that 3-episode arc that begins season 7, right? Arrears in Science and all of those. That's basically an hour-long movie that they did that was broken up into multiple episodes. Look at all that in Gargantua too. They've taken stabs at these long-form storytelling things, and those are really good when they do those.
Yeah. The end of this season is a long 2-parter as well. That is more coherent than Showdown at Cremation Creek.
Yeah.
In terms of, they have the chops for it.
Yes.
Yeah. And of course we'll cover that when it comes out.
Of course.
Yeah. Maybe it would be worth doing a special, impressions episode and then covering it in sequence.
Yeah.
With depth, cause people will want to know what we think about it when it's fresh, and we just come to it 3 years after it's done or whatever, 2 years after it's done. That'd be maybe a minor bummer.
Yeah.
But it'll depend on when it comes out. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, but I'm excited. You're excited. I imagine everybody listening is super refreshed to hear that we're going to get a chance at some closure.
Yep. And until next time,
go Team Venture.
Venture.